Please be advised sensitive subjects are covered in this podcast. If you're affected by the following, please contact the links in the description. Thank you.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 10 of the Ruck Off with me and Stephen, and today we're joined by Jonjo and Matty.
Thanks for having us.
First, obviously.
Best travelling reserve in Leicestershire.
Best travelling reserve. How are you two boys?
We're good, thanks, mate. Yeah, not a lot to really tell you.
Literally nothing, is there?
That's the last year, really.
Yeah.
So, what? Obviously, you two study together, do most things together, shower together. What are you doing at the minute with like education wise?
So, at the moment, me and Matt are pretty much just focusing on our dissertations at the moment. Obviously now with lockdown, we weren't able to gather any data, so we're actually doing a literature review, 6,000 word lit review on top of 2 other assignments. So that's all pretty fun, as fun as a dissertation can be.
What's yours on?
Mine, so mine's on the effects of the front squat versus the back squat on lower body power.
Nice. Obviously, I see a lot of the videos part of your lifting. Is that something you want to go into the future, like do in the gym, like PT wise, or
something in the gym? Yeah. So you get like a personal trainer, which obviously Matt is aspiring to be, and Matt's obviously gone leaps and bounds with that at his age, and I've kind of sort of followed that path with kind of getting my personal training qualifications, as well as maybe looking at a strength and conditioning coach. So that's basically like just a better personal trainer, really. Sorry to step on your toes, Matt.
Matty, what's your dissertation on?
It's on. I'm looking at eccentric resistance training in sort of uni players, and then the effects of fatigue that it has. But like John just, I all planned out. I was going to do a six week block with the Brooksby, the college lads, and do have 2 groups, one doing eccentric, one doing traditional resistance training, and then I was going to see how their strength improved, and see how the effects on fatigue that it had. But due to COVID, we weren't able to get data. So again, it's gone to a literature review, which had made, in my opinion, it's probably made it more difficult. Especially trying to get the words together. But you know, you move, you still have to get it done. So yeah.
So for people, obviously not like Elliott, who's massive, loves the gym, loves lifting, don't you, Elliott?
Yeah, do it every day.
Yeah. So for someone like me and for like just the norms who don't really go to the gym, can you explain like what a eccentric resistant training is compared to traditional?
Yeah. So eccentric is looking at sort of more time on attention when you're lengthening the muscle. So for example, if I'm doing a bicep curl, so that would be concentric, but then the lowering phase would be eccentric. So I'm lengthening my muscle. And what I was planning on sort of doing is having sort of a 3-second eccentric lowering, which would really stress the muscle on that lengthening phase. So yeah, that's it really.
Yeah. So obviously you've been at Brooksby for how long now? Is this your 4th year or 5th year? Or
this is my 3rd year at Brooksby. Obviously, Matt, you've been there since you were pretty much born.
Yeah, this is my 5th year, mate. Because obviously I was at college. Yeah.
That was the same as me at Loughborough. I was there for like 5 years. Is that the same with you, Elliott? Have you been there a long time at Loughborough?
Yeah, 5. This is my 6th year, I think.
Us three really need to get a life, don't we? Obviously, I'll finish. I can say what I want. Matty's like, I love the place. I didn't
No. I don't mind Brooksby. Brooksy's all right, but I'm looking forward to the summer and getting out there. That's for sure.
What is your plans for the summer?
Have
Just
fun.
yeah. What have you got? You got anything booked? You going away or?
Well, me and my missus have been a bit sort of cautious about booking anything away at the moment, especially abroad. You just can't really, you just don't really know, do you? But we definitely want to go to like a lodge or somewhere in England over summer. I feel like because you're sort of booking that and you sort of knowing that will go ahead. So
Maybe pull the ring or?
no, not yet, not yet.
Student loan tomorrow, Matt.
Hey,
Student loan tomorrow.
yeah, thank God.
Jonjo, what have you got booked for the summer? Anything big?
Again, pretty much the same as Matt. Nothing really, because I think this one thing I've been talking to quite a few people about. Like, I don't kind of want to get my hopes up for something that might not happen, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
at the moment, I'm not looking at anything. But I know for my 21st, me and my girlfriend, we're going away with her family on a little like family campers thing. I know they do that pretty much every year, and I was a lucky one to be invited.
So obviously, this is a bit like we're going to go into like the main topic of the podcast like in a minute, which is about mental health, and Elliott's going to talk us through his story. But just taking it back with you two, obviously, you both playing rugby. Jonjo, you still playing rugby, aren't you? Yep.
Maybe.
Just take us back to like little Matty and little Jonjo rocking up for the first session. Like, how did that go? Like, why did it come about and stuff?
You go first, Matt.
Yeah, I'll go first. So when I started rugby, yeah, I started
when you look like
yeah, exactly. Not a mare, ain't I? Not a mare. So I started when I was 13. So I played football, sort of growing up, but family was big Tigers supporters, and I started going down to the Tigers when I was about 4 years old. So I was a season ticket for many years down there, and I think I got to about 12, 13, and I thought, and I started to really get involved with the Tigers, sort of watching it, traveling to games and stuff, and that's when I sort of was like, yeah, let's make the transition over and never look back since.
And then obviously we played Leicestershire under 20s together. I was quite a late comer into that, so obviously I didn't know many people. I knew roughly of people, but I didn't know many. And I actually think for the time we were there, I actually had one of like the best times. I think it doesn't matter really about like the playing bit, but just like the off field, like the social. As long as that's there, that's what makes like a really good team. And I think that's why we were so like close to the team for the year.
I think that's why we were so successful as well that year. We had that bond. Obviously we were just talking before we started the recording, but how we made it to semi-final, and we lost out then, but that was a great achievement in comparison to previous years that Leicester have done. I think that was the best we've achieved, I want to say.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's true. I think that's true.
You look at stuff, don't you? Like, I think we'll all say we probably weren't all the best people in the position at our age over like the country. But I think just because we were that tight, I think it just works well.
Massively. Like I said, the group was so tight then, and that's why we were successful.
And then obviously now, Matty, you're playing. Who are you playing for now? And what's like the season? What's going to happen with the season, like with the league and all that? What's your aspirations and stuff?
Yeah, so I'm still at Sarston. Obviously, I like all of us, we ain't played since it's over a year now. But we're actually going back to training this coming Thursday, so that'll be good. Get the boots, dust them off, get back out on the training paddock. But yeah, we've got a couple of pre-season friendlies already lined up. Got an away fixture down at Harrogate. Down up. I'm not too sure on geographics. But yeah, so they're national 2 team. So that's going to be a real good tester for us. And then we're going on. So we're going out after. So it'll be a nice sort of social as well. And then heading into the season, we'll be in mid-prem. So yeah, really look forward to that. I feel like we've got a tight. What's that, sorry?
No. Just carry on.
I feel like we've got a real tight group going into the season now. I don't think we've lost many players, fortunately, because of COVID. If anything, we've probably gained. So, yeah, we're hopefully we are looking really strong going into the new season. So yeah.
So Jonjo, going back to you, obviously, I'd imagine you had a beard when you were 5 years old.
Came out with a beard, yeah.
Yeah. How long you been playing before, and like who for, and like how did your rugby career start, and where's it at now?
Again, pretty similar to Matt. I used to play football, but my family were a pretty big rugby family. Dad, he played when he was in school. Unfortunately, dislocated his knee and had to stop playing. Sister, she actually played for Jimmy's Angels, the ladies team, then got projected to play, I think, East Midlands, and was going to go higher than that, but then fractured a disc in her spine. So that put her out of playing. So as a kid, I did play tag rugby, but I think I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have been now. So I went and played football for a bit, and then when I got to school, kind of tried out for the football team, and one of the teachers basically went, "You're too big. Go and play rugby," basically. So I started out playing for the school rugby team, going to the after school rugby club and this and that. And then I started looking at local clubs. So my local clubs were probably Belgrave, South Leicester, Whigs, and all those clubs. And I ended up picking Whigs. Been there now for going on 8 years. 8 years now, I'd say. Stayed loyal there. Probably not as successful as I've wanted to be, because obviously I've changed position quite a lot. I mean, when we were at county, I was in the back row, and then just before COVID, I'd moved my way up to the front row. So it was a big change. But I was really enjoying playing loose head, to be fair. Get a bit of stick in the front row, as you do. So it's good fun. But whether I go back playing, I'm not sure. That's one thing I'm still thinking about. Whether that might be a club change or sticking with the club and seeing what time I've got on my hands. Because obviously, with being I'm sure you can relate to this, Stig, being a postgrad student.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, yeah. I was going to say that.
Yeah, yeah, being postgrad.
Yeah, but finding a job as a postgrad is quite a hard thing to do, I'd say. So it's just seeing what my schedule's like, really.
Especially in like our industry, with sport, like any other job, office jobs, you work Monday to Friday, 8 till 5. With ours, it's like Monday to Sunday, 7 till 7, pretty much never stop.
So competitive as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, especially if you, Matty, with your PT. You've got to find a way of being unique, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So how are you going to make sure you stand out from the crowd when you do your PT? Because I assume are you looking for clients, or have you got clients on board, or?
No, so I want to go down the employed route initially, to sort of get my foot in the door, learn the ropes, and but I feel like obviously I've got level 2, level 3 PT, but all personal trainers got them qualifications, and I feel like with having the sports science degree on top of that, I feel like that would, well, hopefully separate me from others. But yeah, like I said, I want to go down sort of the employed route from summer, sort of get my foot in the door, and then build my clientele up to hopefully go self-employed, whether that's a couple of years down the line or whenever. But yeah.
Well, when we upload this, we'll link your Instagram page, because obviously you've got some decent workouts that people can follow. So I've actually been following a few because they're actually quite useful, especially how you do stuff with people who have a gym and people who don't have a gym. So I guess you kind of cater for all, which is good. So moving on, Elliott, do you want to talk about, before we go on to the mental health part, should we just talk about their podcast a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just want to take the reins and then just talk about the podcast a bit.
Yeah, so
sorry, I thought you meant us. My bad, Elliott.
No. Elliott, will I just ask you some stuff about it?
Yeah, so how did it all start? How did you guys come together and kick it off, really?
it all started basically. It's not really probably how we wanted it to start, but in one of our modules, we actually were assigned to complete 100 hours of industry experience. I know me and Matt, we were both placed with the Leicester Tigers team at Brooksby, doing kind of general strength and conditioning and coaching and stuff there. And then the lockdown hit, college closed, and kind of how David approached us. David, one of our lecturers, and he essentially just said, I think it'd be wise for some of you to start a podcast. So me, Matt, and then 3 other lads took it upon ourselves to basically start this podcast. How we all came together was obviously just being general classmates. But I think Matt can quote me on this about how weird it was kind of doing stuff away from the rugby lads. Like the other 3 lads all played football at Brooksby. So it was kind of an even mix.
Yeah, I think that brought a good balance though to it as well. You know, because obviously you got the rugby side of stuff, but then you got the football side of stuff as well. A bit like you two. You know, you got the playing side and the reffing side, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah. Podcast. Like me and Elliott on our 10th, and it still just feels really weird, if that makes sense. Like we're talking to a screen, and we obviously know there's people watching and listening behind this, but they're not hearing live. So we're just talking screen, and it's still one of those you got to get comfortable for. And we were just saying, I think you've just got to act as normal as possible. Really, you've got to be yourself. Otherwise, people don't really get it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
No, 100% agree with that. I think one thing we found quite difficult was obviously doing it with the cameras up as well. It was just our voices. I think that's one way that you can't really express yourself by having your camera off. Like, I think there's a lot more interaction with people having their cameras on. Like, it's something silly. I mean, I know you can hear when someone laughs, but there's a big difference in when you hear someone laugh and when you see someone laugh, or when you see someone smiling, and that's kind of things you don't see when you've not got a camera on. So it kind of gives it that like authentic kind of feeling, which is one of the things from watching your lads' podcast I've really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I think it comes down to like me and Elliott are both. We know we have, because we talked about this. Like post like this, would like to be able to meet up and do it in person, because obviously, in person you can talk, you can bounce people. When we're doing this, you speak. You've got to wait a second for someone to hear. You're not sure if they've heard, then you both speak, and then it's like just becomes like a massive muddle. So I think Elliott will back me. I think we've talked about potentially doing it like in the same room, getting some like mic sorted, and then just filming it, just so it's feels a bit more like. Obviously, we like the fact that there's a lot of podcasts out there. What we do, but we kind of bring like a new, fresh idea. Obviously, what Matty said about being players and referees, and then we try and get people like yourself and like from this type of like the grassroots and like semi-professional era, instead of just listening to professional voices. Obviously, there's a lot more probably interesting stories in ours, because obviously people work and then have to play, and then probably more physically demanding, I guess. So we'll kind of move on from your podcast. Obviously, the main aim of this podcast is to talk about a bit about mental health, and obviously, do one of you two just want to talk about like how it affects you, or just how it, because obviously you do a lot about it, how it affects you, how it affects everyone, and how like rugby can really help that, I guess, before we talk to Elliott.
I think Matt's got some good information on how exercise actually helps with mental health.
Well, yeah, but in terms of how it affects me, my biggest thing is anxiety. I suffer with a lot of anxiety, and sort of day in and day out. And I guess rugby helps in a way that you sort of, we've all experienced the environment of being in rugby, and obviously like we spoke about with the Leicestershire lads, tight bunch, and it's hard to explain really. Like obviously tight bunch lads and stuff, and you know, you want to turn up, you want to see them, you want to, you know, have a drink with them, stay after the game and stuff. But obviously during this lockdown, taking that away, you don't really have that interaction. So yeah, for me it's anxiety. I struggle. I mean, sometimes I just sort of wrap myself up in a ball, not get up if I've got something like a day or a couple of days. But I think the biggest thing is that you got to try and just get moving. You got to try and just trick your mind and try and keep it occupied and not sort of think about what you're worrying about. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I mean. That's what rugby helped with. But obviously, with not being able to play for the last year, it's been tough for everyone. Let's be honest, and everyone's suffered.
Yeah.
It's been so different. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, John.
I was just going to say, I think it comes down to it is okay not to be okay. So everyone will have those days of not feeling okay, and that's still okay. But yeah, I think Jonjo's currently got at the top. But I think it's just so important. I don't know if anyone knows the statistics, you two might, but I think it's just really important that, I know it affects everyone, but like men around our age just talk out. Like, we've got to talk to each other. So obviously you can look at, like, luckily for me, I don't really get affected by much, but Jonjo will probably back. I'm always quite a happy guy. And even with like really happy guys, they can still be like affected. And that's what the scary thing is. So if we don't talk, you don't really know. So Jonjo, have you got anything really to add to that? Or?
I was going to add on more of what you said, especially about a group of young lads like us being able to have these conversations. And sometimes it can be daunting sitting in a group of, especially lads, and speaking about your own mental health issues. But I think it's just about being comfortable with yourself and the people around you, because I think that it's one of the things I said in our first podcast, that's me and Matt, about it's the people that are around you that probably affect you a bit more than yourself as well. Because if you've got people who you can kind of see they're taking the mick a little bit or not taking it as seriously as they should be, it kind of puts you on a bit of a dampener as well. So it's about being comfortable around the people you want to be with and being able to open up about these things. I think that's a massive thing. And just to reiterate, with such young lads like us, I think it's great that we've got this opportunity to do this. Yeah,
I'd agree. And obviously, we're going to talk to Elliott. Obviously, Elliott's got like a really interesting and quite like powerful story, really. Obviously, first, for the people who are listening, leave like all the relevant links, like numbers that you need to contact if this does affect you. Obviously, Elliott's story might affect people in a different way if you've been through similar stuff. So if you are ready to listen to it, please listen. If you don't really listen, I guess. So Elliott, if you just want to crack on really with your story, and then we'll intervene when we need to.
Yeah, so it sort of all started when I was younger. I was always like worried and scared of the unknown, and I began having like panic attacks and stuff. And then from there, as I grew up, it sort of spanned out further and further to other things. It wasn't just the unknown. It was like at school, it was to do with grades, or have I done my homework? You know, does it meet the standard? You know, checking over and over, restarting it, that sort of thing. And then obviously GCSEs came around, so I was doing a lot more tests and exams, and you know, trying to cram every subject's revision in, and you know, worrying about them. And to be fair, I think around the GCSE time is when it sort of became more prominent, to the point where during a history exam I had a panic attack in the middle of the sports hall, and you can imagine like it being full of seats and you know, students doing their exams, and so I had to walk out, and then I didn't carry on with that exam. So but then from then onwards, I was put into a smaller room with people with the same sort of condition and dyslexia and that sort of thing, and given sort of like 15 minutes extra time, because at GCSE time I was worrying and stressing quite a lot, which meant, you know, I couldn't concentrate and stuff like that. And then from there, I was going on to my A levels, so I went on sixth form, and again it was quite exam prominent again. So, and that was really stressing me out, because with sixth form there's a lot more exams, you know, it's tougher, it's a step up. And then, yeah, it just got too much. So then I decided to come out from sixth form and go to college and just do coursework instead of exams, which again was better for me. And I did that for 2 years, 2-year course at Loughborough College. But again, the stress of, you know, coursework and deadlines and stuff like that. So again, I had extra time to sort of support that. And then I went on to do my HND, HNC, and now I'm on my last year of the top up to make it into a full degree. And obviously now I'm having sort of the same sort of issues because I've having got a lot of assignments, presentations, reports, and then obviously got my dissertation as well. But yeah, and then in about, I think it was like 2018, 2019, was coming to the end of the refereeing season. And I finished, I think it was a women's match, women's semi-final for the cup or something. And I was getting ready for the 7th season. And a few days later, I just crashed. I got sent home from work. I got sent home from work and I just couldn't leave my bedroom. I was confined in there. If I even came out of bedroom, I was so anxious. You know, felt my heart was coming out my chest. And, you know, I tried loads of different therapies and stuff like that, but it just wasn't working. I didn't want to go onto medication, but eventually I did. And then that got upped to over time. And then a few years down the line, about 2 years, a year passed. I started a hypnotherapy, and I did about 3 sessions of that over a course of a year, and then it helped me to begin to do the first step. So simple things that we all take for granted, like going to the shop. You know, it's just literally baby steps again, getting into normal life. So just going for a walk, going to like a shopping center, you know, being at heights and stuff like that. It was all big. And then going to restaurants and stuff like that. And that obviously I started building on that, and yeah, just kept making progress. Currently still on medication, but you know, that's really helped me a lot, and the anxiety and stuff's reducing a lot at the moment. But I'm still having my troubles, as I did with refereeing, in terms of my body image, and obviously not doing training and stuff because the anxiety and sort of physical exercise, that combination of fast heart rate and stuff, I've sort of had to put that on hold, and I'm gaining weight. I don't like it, so obviously that's adding to it. But yeah, at the moment I'm doing really well, but just want to get this year done with, and then hopefully focus on myself a bit more, and then hopefully join the police and get back into refereeing.
Obviously, me being obviously not having really like much of an understanding, when you had your like panic attack in your exam, like what happened? Like what happened to you?
So that day, even in the morning, I got my papers out and I was going over it and over and over. I was like, I don't know, I was just thinking about everything. I was like, this was the first time being the sports hall out of all exams I had. And I've never had an exam in the sports hall before. So I got in there, obviously the whole procedure of putting your bags to the side and listening to the tape, you know, and then when it said begin, just hearing everyone's papers open and then just looking down, just sort of all the words sort of just started to move. And then I just felt my body go into like overdrive, and I just felt like I can't do this. So I just raised my hand, they came over, and obviously, you know, leaving, everyone's looking like, why is he leaving? And I had a few people ask me why afterwards, and so I told them. But yeah, it was quite a stressful situation, but you know, in a way it helped me because I knew I had to have that extra time, had to have that bit more of comfort than to sort of ease the anxiety that I had around that time.
Yeah, did you like were you quite open with your like troubles? Because I feel like with us two, we don't know each other that well, but we're always talking on like the phone. And like we always say to each other, if you've got any problems, just message each other, and we're quite good at that, really. Were you quite open with like your mates, or like did you talk out about your troubles or
not? To begin with, no. I think I became quite distant, in a sense, especially around school and stuff, because obviously people see you're not in the exam room. So did you do your exam? I get loads of questions all the time during the school and stuff. But I sort of just try to wave it off a bit. But over time, obviously going out places and stuff, I had to just say, this is a little bit too much for me. I might leave it for today, those sort of things. And after a while, I just said, yeah, this is sort of my story. This is the troubles I'm having with at the moment. And I think that was a good step for me, because I felt that people were much more understanding. And yeah, it took time, but yeah, they became very supportive afterwards.
I don't know about you, Jonjo and Matty, but I think that pretty much sums it up when Elliott goes at the end. It was that this is me, this is my story. I think you've just got to own it, haven't you, really? And just got to be honest with yourself, not honest with the people. But I know it's hard. Have you two got anything to add? Or
how did lockdown affect you, Elliott? A lot. Did it almost help you in a way, because there wasn't them things to like go to the restaurant, or you know what I mean? Did it help you at all?
I suppose at the time I was at a point where I was trying to progress more, so I was trying, going different places for a certain amount of time, sort of like going to shopping centres and stuff. So it sort of, I felt like at a time it did hinder, but especially beginning of this year, and well, for most of the year really, we've had to go online in terms of like uni and stuff. So and I felt that sort of learning from home and not having to be in that confined environment, that because I took a gap year after my first 2 years in order to get myself, I agreed with the lecturers that I need that time to get myself into a better place. So I took a year out, and then this year I was a bit panicky because again I was going back into a new environment. But yeah, I was there, but again it's like starting again, really. And so yeah, so I'm quite grateful that we were able to go online and sort of learn from home where I'm comfortable and still able to complete the course. But so I guess in a way it's helped but also hindered progress, so it's a bit of both, really.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Jonjo?
I just wanted to say, like you said, Stig, having that story and being able to kind of own it is kind of your thing, and I think it's credit to yourself for being able to talk about that kind of thing, because I understand how hard it is to come out and speak about certain kinds of things, especially with certain kinds of people, and it's almost like a complete weight's been lifted off your shoulders. So I think it's an absolute credit to you for being able to obviously come onto a platform like this and come and speak about these kinds of things, because it's just a big brave thing to do, and I don't think anyone can fault you for anything that you've done and how you're coping, Elliott, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree, but I think if we can just help one person, either just talk about it or just realise, like just through listening to this, I think that's pretty much all we really need to take from this episode. It's just especially with like we go about, especially in like the ages, obviously with suicide being such a high rate of men, and you're hearing it so often now. It seems like it's quite common now, which is so sad. Especially you read a lot on like social media about they put photos on like behind is like the smile, and it's quite sad, really, isn't it? But I think
especially sorry, I was going to say especially with the lockdown. I mean, the gym that I go to, Warehouse Gym, they had 2 members unfortunately take their own lives, and Warehouse Gym actually took it upon themselves to start their own mental health campaign called the Wellbeing Warehouse, which was like a series of online kind of talks and podcasts and stuff to try and help these people that were maybe struggling from home.
Yeah, and obviously I've not talked to Elliott about this, but personally I'd like to do some form of like either like a walk or something like towards like a charity which focuses on, because I know that there's like we've talked a bit with blokes, haven't we, Elliott, on Instagram, and would like to do some bits with them. There's some like smaller charities that focus on like mental health. Would like to really maybe do some like fundraising or something, because obviously it's quite close to like our podcast with obviously Elliott's story, so obviously we'll try and get that sorted when we can. But I think we pretty much wrapped everything up for this episode. All happy yet? So obviously it's been a bit of a more serious episode compared to normal, but I think it's a useful one. I think that's why we saved it for episode 10. Obviously, thank you boys for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Just helping Elliott just come out and like tell his story. And so from me and Elliott and Jonjo and Matty, just look in the description. We'll leave all like the relevant links to all the things that you need to go and look at if you are struggling. But from us, I think that's it. Cheers for listening.